Okay, let's get started and we'll see if Dan joins us. I'm going to share my screen. You don't have to look at it. Welcome to the TOC Working Group meeting for August 15th. Some of us are here, some of us are on vacation. Review actions from last week. The actions were, let me find them. Beyhan notified some groups about a new RFC, and I'm going to discuss the readiness RFC this week. We'll get to that in a moment. Great. Let's see. PRs. The first PR is 653. Very exciting PR. Find the right place for bosh-package-java-release and bosh-package-cf-cli-release. Welcome, Dan.
Morning, everyone.
So in this PR, it's about moving 2 different repos to the correct areas, to more appropriate areas. And I know Beyhan wanted to get an okay from the people in those areas, so it looks like I'll give an okay for that one. And Dan, I think you're on the other one.
That will probably be Anthony or David.
Okay. Well, it looks like I'll approve for this bosh one. Anthony has not gotten back yet. Oh, I see. Or Greg. Yeah. Or, sorry, Greg tagged David for that one. So let's not vote on it yet. Move on to the next PR. Or move on to, let's skip down. I know, Dan, you said you're only available for a little bit. So do you want to start by giving us the Paketo update?
Yeah, that would be great. I have a bunch of notes. We can kind of take this whatever direction people are interested, though. I thought I would just kind of start with some of the recent efforts that we've kind of been going through and things that we've completed. Give me 1 second. My video on so you can see me. Cool. So a couple of things that we've been working on recently, kind of an ongoing effort for us all the time is, just focusing on timely release delivery. We feel like as a project, that's a big part of what we do because we want to instill confidence in users that, we're going to release these, critical security things in a timely manner. So this is kind of always a big focus and a lot of effort for the project. There's so many things that get released in a week. It's mind-boggling. So I always want to call that out because everybody puts a lot of effort into it, but it gets overlooked sometimes. The next thing, it's a little more of a PSR, but the Ubuntu Bionic stack has been end-of-lifed. Probably the process did not go as smooth as we would have liked. I don't think we got a good jump on things. And so once we started the RFC to kind of do this work about a month before, which just I don't think was enough time. We needed to kind of be a little more ahead of the game on that. So our communications kind of lagged a little bit. We did have some stuff that went out in select channels like on Slack, but it would have been nice to have kind of casted a wider net with the blog post and some other things just to try to alert people. We did have some people that got caught by surprise there, that weren't aware that it's had end of life. So we took some learnings away from that, for next time. Fortunately, it's not something we have to go through every day. We have a few years before that happens again. So hopefully we can do a better job next time.
What work do you have to do to end of life it from your end? Just an overview.
A lot of it is just communication and giving people time. There is definitely work of spinning up new stacks and new builders, but that had been done a long time ago. We've had people using those for a while now. So a lot of this end of life process was really just communicating that it's happening, when it's happening, and then like archiving repos and things like that, turning off the CI jobs that are running to kind of keep those things going. There were some things that were out of our control as well. Like the pack utility has a suggest builders feature where it will kind of point you to the right builder. And, we submitted PRs to get to update that stuff because it was still pointing at Bionic. But, we don't control when they release pack, and we're still kind of waiting on a pack release for that. I think they're in RC at this point. But, so we've kind of just been telling people, ignore that for now. It'll change. But yeah, that's really the gist of it, is just kind of communicating, tying up all those loose ends. So the other another important thing that we've had recently, we had our first steering committee election, which was great. We work with Chris and the foundation to run the election basically in the same way that the CFF TOC is doing theirs. We had just enough people interested in running on the committee to fill the open seats, so that was good. It wasn't a very riveting election, but I was unsure if we would actually have enough people to fill all the roles. So it's good that we've got interest and people willing to step up and do that kind of stuff. And then I will share some notes here on Slack when I'm done, but I have links to a lot of these efforts and the RFCs and things if people are interested in kind of the background process or the details on what our what we put together for the election process. The other thing that we've been kind of working on quite a bit lately is a community sponsored UBI stack. So this will go under our Paketo community GitHub repo, and this is an effort that we've been getting a lot of contribution from Red Hat on. So I just kind of wanted to call it out because it's really is a community-led effort. There's a lot of people contributing to it and kind of pushing to make this happen. And this will just open up kind of a new area for Paketo build packs, because there are certain customer bases that just have to have UBI and Red Hat, and so this kind of opens them up, those up to us, which is great. Moving on to some things that are in progress at the moment. We have an effort working on ARM64 support. This is a big one for us, but it's also really challenging because there's just so much to do to make that work. And we're also kind of trying to work with the CNB upstream to get ARM64 support into the tooling and things at the same time. So it's a big effort. We've been working on it most of the year, and I imagine we'll probably be working on it through the end of the year. Hopefully we'll have some level of output to show. I think what we're shooting for first is to have ARM64 stacks. The stack is kind of the lowest level that you need to make build packs work. And so if we can get an ARM64 stack out, that makes it easier for people to at least kind of fool around with this stuff with their own build packs or work at the build pack process. So we feel like that's a good first step. So hopefully we'll have that out this year. The other big RFC that we've been working on is decoupling build pack dependencies. So right now we have build packs that basically bundle all the metadata for their dependencies inside of the build pack itself. And what happens is this creates a lot of churn on the build packs. As part of why we release so many things in a week. It's because every time a Java version updates, every time a PHP version updates, every time any dependency updates, it's new build pack releases. And so we're working on a lot of stuff to kind of take the build pack dependencies out of the build packs, which will kind of slow down the frantic pace of build packs. But we also feel it'll be a lot more flexible for really everyone in terms of how they use build packs and how they get those dependencies. So I think this will be big for users, but it'll also be big for like platform integrators and things like that, because it'll give them a lot more control over how they kind of pass dependencies to build packs.
Wait, so if it's not in the build pack and a new version of PHP comes out, how would a user use their old build pack to get a new version of PHP?
So what we're hoping to do is kind of at the moment it's abstracted away. So there'll be a path where the build packs will look for those dependencies. And it's a little bit nebulous because anything could put those dependencies there. Could be another build pack, could be the platform itself. But that's part of the flexibility that we're kind of trying to go for with this, is to give people a lot of options on how they supply those dependencies. We think that will be a good thing for, platform integrators, but also end users. The end user workflow of just, building with Pack on your desktop, can have a lot of benefits from that as well. People can like pre-cache dependencies and all sorts of stuff. So, and that one's very much an RFC at this point. So, the RFC's open. So if there are use cases that you'd like to talk about or support with that, definitely, take a look.
Does that mean that the compatibility testing is pushed onto the platform integrator?
Compatibility testing will be interesting on that. We've had some discussions about, like, as a build pack author, being able to kind of like provide some rules or guidelines on, like, here are the ranges of things that I expect, so I expect Java 11, 17, or 20, things like that, that can allow the build packs some control to provide that that compatibility. But there's going to be a lot of other issues there as well that we'll have to sort out in terms of, like, pulling stacks and dependencies together, and what is compatible there, what isn't. And there will definitely be some work on what I would call, like, the operator role, who's composing those stacks and builders together. The plan is for Paketo to have their, continue to have their stacks and builders. But, we think this will be something that can really enable people to customize and make their own, in a lot of different ways.
So for us as downstream, like, so CloudFoundry is looking to adopt Paketo builders, like the cloud native build packs. So would we still be able to just consume like blessed versions that include all these dependencies and not have to worry about supplying our own?
Yeah, so you can always keep using the Paketo build packs. We'll continue to have, even after this, our own set of stacks, builders, build packs, and all that stuff will be coordinated together. We don't know exactly how we're going to ship that stuff with Paketo, but some of the early talk has been kind of a build pack that would manage updates to the metadata and probably fetch them from the internet. But there's a lot of different use cases to consider there, like offline environments and things like that too. So we just want to make sure that we have a flexible interface that people can use to meet all those different needs. And if this sounds a little nebulous at this point, it kind of is intentionally. We feel like there will definitely be subsequent RFCs that define some of this stuff more. Right now, we're really trying to get, like, the core concepts and that nailed down.
Would be nice to have the RFC numbers in the notes, I think, for people.
Yes, I have links to all this stuff so that you can kind of dive in and take a look. This would definitely be an area where we'd love to see some feedback from CloudFoundry, since we know that you all are going to be implementers of this.
Yeah, I don't have a specific question yet, but I have this general thought of, like, secure pipelines and how do you, well, like right now when I get a build pack, I know that, it has some SHA and that it was secure, whatever. But now if you're offloading those dependencies, now the person putting those dependencies in has to make sure that's done in a secure way.
Yeah, security is a big concern, because the way things are now, they are coupled, but that coupling also provides some security, like you're saying. Things are verified by hashes and stuff. I don't think that it will happen initially out of the box, but we're definitely building this with the ability to have, like, signature verification and things like that in mind. So down the road we can make sure that the system supports that, for people that want to use it and have that extra layer of validation. but minimally it'll have the same kind of hash checking and things like that we have now.
Very interesting.
So the other in-process effort that we have right now that's going on, we're calling language family builders. So Paketo has traditionally had one set of builders that's kind of like an everything builder, which is nice, especially for people getting started. But there are some people that just don't use a lot of the stuff that's in a builder, and it's big and it takes time and to download and all that stuff. So, we're looking at having some language family builders that would be like, here's your Java builder that just has all the Java stuff. And maybe a few other things like Node or something like that too, since those kind of get paired together. But it would be a smaller, more kind of cohesive offering that people could use that really just are in the Java world, and that's all they care about. And I think we'll probably have similar offerings for some of the other language families, but this one really kind of came out of the Java landscape first. So I think we will probably be one of the first ones to implement. This has an RFC that was approved, but we just haven't got to doing the implementation yet. So it's kind of pending on that.
Nice.
Being more involved with the Java side of things, I do have a few Java specific notes if you're interested in that. We did recently bump the default Java version to 17, which was a big change. That was the first time that we had to do a default Java version bump. And so, we definitely learned some things from there, with communication and kind of how to go through that process. And the RFC that we put together for this kind of specifies how going forward we will do that. So that was kind of nice to have that worked out, and now it's transparent to users, so they kind of know what to expect. We've also had some contributions from Oracle recently. They did some license changes to their GraalVM product, which is kind of big with a lot of our users. And so we've been doing some work there to try to integrate that so people can use the new offerings that they have. That's kind of a work in progress at the moment, but definitely something we're getting a lot of good feedback on. We're also have an effort to try to make it easier for people to pick different Java vendors. It's possible to do this right now, but the way that we have things structured is kind of a pain. And so we have an effort to kind of make that easier and to kind of unify the whole JVM provider landscape. Right now I think we're at 11 build packs and counting for different various JVM providers. And we want to try to unify that. So it's just one build pack, and that you can just, set an environment variable to pick the one that you want. We've got the RFC approved for that. That's another one that's kind of pending work. And then I guess the only other thing I wanted to just mention for the group was kind of what the, I guess, biggest problems or most frequently asked for things are, just so that you all are aware. Top of that list is the ARM64 support that we asked for. We did a survey at the end of the year, and it just kind of blew everything else out of the water. I know it affects a lot of developers that are building images on their like dev machines. A lot of people have the new MacBooks now, and the experience when you don't have ARM64 images is subpar. So we're getting a lot of feedback on that. But we're also getting a lot of people that are talking about using it in production, with AWS and some of the other large cloud vendors that have, now have ARM64 offerings that are cheaper. So I think, cost conscious people are looking at this as well. So that's probably our biggest one. And behind that, we've had kind of a long-standing issue with download caching. The build packs have some support for download caching, but kind of similar to how it was in CloudFoundry, it's scoped to the application. So if you change your application image name, you basically invalidate all your caching and everything downloads again. And so it's not the most pleasant experience, especially for people that are building images on their local laptop, maybe on a slower network connection and things like that. It's been a long-standing issue for us. I think that some of the stuff we're doing with decoupling dependencies might help at least provide some more options, but none of it really addresses the issue of caching. That's something that we kind of have to work with the upstream CNB project on, but it's just a really difficult thing to do because it's a lot of effort, and you don't really have anyone to lead that at the moment. And that's basically it. Got a few minutes if there are questions on anything that we're doing that y'all want to hear about.
There is an open RFC on our side around adopting multiple stacks from Paketo. I don't know if you have thoughts on that. I don't think you are active in it yet, because it's a bit cross-cutting. I think one of the issues is that none of the people working on CF are like domain experts on this stuff. And so like figuring out the best way to integrate it and doing it in a way that's actually like future proof and in align with how it's expected to use, I think that's a bit difficult. I don't know how we could like better collaborate on that RFC.
Yeah, stacks are tricky right now because the CNB project is changing some things with them. I feel like it sounds more dire than it is because they're quote removing stacks. But to me, what it really is like a kind of a nomenclature change. They are changing from calling things stacks to trying to use more common terminology, like base images and things like that are not really specific to build packs. So there are some technical changes, but underneath it's, you still kind of have your build image, your run image, the things that a stack is composed of. So I don't know that there's like a huge technical change there, but there will be some things to be aware of as they kind of work through that. Besides that, from a Paketo side, we've been fairly kind of one track with our stack support because we've just had the Ubuntu image. With the transition from Bionic to Jammy, we kind of had to deal with having two stacks, but they're still very similar, because they're both Ubuntu based. It's really just different versions. We're kind of now getting into like seeing some of the challenges of having two stacks as we're executing on the UBI community, stack effort. But even that is a little bit easier for us because that is in the community repo at the moment. And so it's very much just community driven, and so the level of effort of maintaining two stacks and all that is not really put on us yet. I think that's the tricky part, at least from the Paketo side with having multiple stacks, is just the level of effort in maintaining those. Stacks change frequently. So they require a lot of updates and a lot of kind of hand holding. There is CI to drive that, but things with CI fail and someone has to jump in and look at what happened and all that stuff. So there's a definite maintenance overhead for that. I don't know if the effort that you're referring to is talking about making your own stacks for CloudFoundry, or if it is picking up the Paketo ones or basing off of ours and customizing things.
I think it's about picking up yours, but like offering that besides the one that we're shipping with CF. So
Okay.
Making it optional, which one you pick. And also, I think we don't currently have a distinction between a build and a run stack.
Okay.
So one, this is also trying to introduce that. As well as there are some questions around SBOMs, because I believe SBOMs will be produced by Paketo. Like that's one of the main selling points, I guess, at least from a CF perspective. But then there's the SBOM for the stacks that are published separately and that we need to merge together and figure out how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, the SBOM stuff is a little confusing because the CNB like specs around that, they don't merge SBOM stuff together. So a lot of people expect to get like one SBOM as the output, but you really get two different sets. There's a build SBOM and then the run SBOM, that correlate to what's available at build time versus what's available at runtime. But then each of those is a set of files. They don't get merged. So yeah, it is kind of tricky to work with. I'm not sure what else to say about that other than a little bit of, I certainly have empathy for that being a challenge.
Is there anything that the TOC can help you with?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, the biggest thing is just getting trying to address those problems, that I mentioned. Kind of the two major ones are big efforts. We are getting a good amount of contributions from folks, but as open source projects are, people contribute what they care about, and so that doesn't always align with what we feel as a project needs to be done. So there's always kind of an effort to try to, I don't know if recruit is the right word, or coerce people to help contribute to things. So we're always grateful for any attention or people that you can send our way that are if somebody is working in a particular area that overlaps with things we're doing. We always love to have more contributors. So
Yes, I sympathize with that.
Yeah.
Gonna send them your way. We're gonna keep them if you find them.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Daniel.
Yeah. Happy
Sounds
to,
like you're
to
doing
come on
great
and
work.
chat. Yeah. I think I'm pretty happy with the way things are going, and we'll have kind of an end of the year wrap up as we usually do, on kind of how things went this year, and then our next probably try to kick off our next roadmap survey, towards the end of the year in November or something like that too. So
Right.
awesome.
You're welcome to stick around if you want.
I got to drop other meetings and things going
Yep.
on, but yeah, thanks for bumping me up in the schedule. Appreciate it.
Yeah. See you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay. Time for us to move to RFCs. First RFC is RFC 665.
Yep, that's
for
at
it.
the moment a little bit on hold. The reason is very simple, because the authors are all on vacation. They will come back end of August, and there was some very good feedback from a VMware UAA developer, Peter Chen, I think. And yep, let's see where it goes. So the final solution might look completely different, but yeah, the requirements hopefully get addressed. That's the most important thing.
Great. Okay, well, work for the authors to do right when they get back. Hopefully they'll have lots of emails in their inbox.
No, for sure not.
Okay, 640 then. 640 is for integrating pcap-release with bosh. We chatted about this last time, and I believe we started the final comment period. And nothing has come up since then, which I think means we vote and merge. Does that sound right? Okay.
Yep.
No looking, but I'm going to vote yes. Great. We've got 4 out of 4. So I click merge here. That's what I do. Okay, I'm getting a nod.
I believe that then there's some script that needs to run to do the numbering.
Great. Ruben, run some script.
Nice. That was a setup.
Oh, come on. Okay, very exciting. And readiness health checks. So one of the last questions that was open was, let's see, hold on, I'm gonna try to bring it up. Alexander, and I think Max as well, had brought up an idea of, wouldn't it be nice if for the readiness health checks, as soon as it was, determined not ready, that like you could cut off the traffic to it. And they had suggested using the Envoy cert to do it. So kind of like rejecting that cert or invalidating it in some way, which would make GoRouter like, oh, it would try the cert. Oh no, it's invalid. And GoRouter would automatically try a new one, which would be like beautiful, except that we would really break container to container networking, TLS with that. So I love the idea, but it wouldn't quite work. So I'm all for continuing to think about this. That's what I said, like, but not making the like immediate failure part of this RFC. Like, I would love for us to think about some way and how we could do it, but I'm not sure what that is yet. So my proposal is that we move forward without the requirement for the immediate state change. I updated the RFC. One of the other things I think left open was about exposing an interval. So if someone wanted it to check more, I updated the RFC to include that. I think that means that everything has been discussed or like kind of covered. Does that mean that we get to trigger our final comment period?
Sure.
I see one nod. Okay, I'm going to copy the exact phrasing. We did here. Great. Let's see. Today is the 15th. 15 plus 7 is 22. It's 1 week, right?
Yep.
Oh no, except that's. We're gonna do it. Sorry. Does the TOC officially use British dates? Is that a thing? Because I'm switching it here.
I'm afraid we need an RFC for that.
Yes.
Yes. We should have done one like before the elections, then we had more British people.
I think you still have more Europeans. Great. Okay, those are the only things I had on the agenda. That's all I got. I'm gonna thank you for joining us for the TOC meeting on August 15th. I'm gonna stop sharing and oh, I don't have permission to record, so I can't stop recording. So bye all.
See you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Hey, everybody. Bye.